Where have you been? I've got to go to Mum's in an hour.
I can't take you. I'm meeting some of the fellas down the pub in a minute.
Well, take me now, then.
Go on, then.
Can I drive?
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
Oh! Watch the road!
Hey, go and see the boys, Gary. Don't get rat-arsed, right?
Let's see the bat now.
I've got to use the phone. It's Joe in. Tom's been killed. I'll get out of the bloody Wayne moniker. I've got to use the phone.
Yes, miss? No, don't touch anything. Yeah. We'll be with you in minutes, right? Do us a favour, Ted. Yeah? Tom Peterley out of Everett has been killed. I'm going to get the governor. Can you phone Mr. Burden for me?
Yeah, no problem. Shall I phone Mrs. Wexford and tell her he'll be late?
Yeah, please, Ted.
Right.
Just come and keep me company till Mum gets back.
I'm not going to see him. I ain't going to see him, and that's that. You can't make me. You're always trying to lord it over other people. You're not so pure yourself, are you?
Put a sock in it, Monica. Yeah. Mum! Look, don't touch! I said you mustn't touch.
Good boy. Easy there.
find the body?
Yeah.
And you are?
Miss Arlene Hedden.
I shall need you to make a statement. Mrs. Peter Lee? You all right?
That's a silly question. Of course she's not all right.
And you are?
Carol Fox. I'm a friend of hers.
Forensics are ready outside, sir. Shall I ask them to come in?
Yes, Mr. Burden. Would you take Miss Fox?
Mrs. Fox.
If you'll come with me, Mrs. Fox.
Carol Fox and I pulled her off, and she just started to beat her head against the dresser. She was howling, and the dog was outside howling. She was ever so upset. Well, you can see how she is now.
And you say you didn't notice the money and the camera on the dresser?
I didn't say I didn't notice the money. There was a noise upstairs. I was frightened. That's why I rushed out to find Joe and phone from there.
Miss Hedden, will you be able to look after your mother tonight?
Well, she can't come and stay with me in the caravan. And Gary won't like me sleeping out.
Gary?
Gary Wyatt. That's the man I live with. Don't you worry. I'll look after her, Mr. Wexford. We're not all without feeling in the murdering classes, you know.
Right, Mrs. Fox, if you just read and then sign that statement of yours.
Heather Peterlee and I came back from walking the dog. Arlene came out and met us and told us what had happened.
Tom's dead, Mum. Look, don't touch! He said you mustn't touch.
I realize you've had a great shock, Mrs. Peterlee. The doctor will be coming in a minute. It'll do you good to drink the tea while it's hot. Could you tell me how you got those bruises on your face, Mrs. Peterlee?
Inspector Burton, get me Sergeant Martin, please. Well, get me Stevenson. If I appear to be reluctant, it's probably because I am.
Not your fault.
What it is to have a supportive wife. Will you come in with me and tell Reg when he starts ribbing me? I'm such a stickler for efficiency, doing things by the book.
I know. And isn't it nice to know that you are a fallible human being underneath that stern exterior?
It's no joke. I was on the spot. I was there. And the phone wouldn't work because I'd forgotten to charge the battery. And every other blasted phone in town was vandalized.
I bet you don't know what the town's coming to, do you? Wasn't like that in your young day, was it?
Quite right. I'll just go in and face the music.
Oh, by the way, you are going to analyse the ashes out of that wood burner for me, aren't you?
The murder weapon is now a heap of ashes.
Yeah, ironical, isn't it? Cut the weapon of your own destruction and bring it into the house for the killer.
Now, whoever it was, he's very strong.
Oh, by the way, have you checked the splinters in the skull are the same as the ones from the logs in that basket?
Yeah, same batch.
Well, let me know if you find anything. Mrs. Peterlee, it's brave of you to open the shop.
Got to be done, hasn't it? Best to be doing something is nothing.
Unarguable, I would have thought. Mrs. Peterlee, do you feel strong enough yet to tell me what happened on Thursday?
Mr. Wexford. Morning. The girls wanted to keep the shop open, so I told them I'd give them every assistance. Tom would have wanted it kept open. One or the other. This has knocked her right out. Well, you can see. We'd want to do something like this, eh? For a few pounds.
Oh. So you think it was the money, do you?
What else? I told him once, I told him. Half a dozen times. For the takings in the safe, but no. You leave them lying around. I was that kind of a man. Trusted everybody. Saw no harm in anyone. He'd do anything for you. Help Heather with the dishes. Do all manner of things around the house. Didn't he, Heather? Or so. She's taking this rather bad.
Yes. I can say they were devoted.
They were more than that.
I'll call again.
I'm still here.
Where do you want to be?
Hey, I don't know, somewhere in the middle so I can see what's going on.
Birdie's fit to be tied this morning after missing Hull's offers. Over there, man.
Oh, he can think himself lucky they didn't see him. I wouldn't have given much for his chances if they had.
It was usual for you to open the shop at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
This was Thursday the 10th.
10th.
What did you do at lunchtime?
Dinner time.
Dinner time.
Down be those here, all fresh, hand-picked by me this morning.
Oh.
Well, all our vegetables is homegrown.
Thank you.
Pour some tomatoes up. Whoa, with cheese. How are you today, then, Monica? You shouldn't be so cheery with the customers. Well, you've heard the expression. They died laughing.
And at 3 o'clock, your husband, Joe Peter Lee, came to the shop and took you shopping in Kings Markham.
He came about 3.
Did you like your brother-in-law, Mrs. Peter Lee?
Now see what you made me do! Now see! We've been over it. We've been over it all. She must have wrote it down a dozen times.
Don't worry about the coffee, Mrs. Peter Lee. We'll clear that up. Get a cloth.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no. He says I never spill anything. Upset anything. Never.
I stood for a minute looking at him. Then I stepped forward, touched his face. It was still warm.
Did you use the phone in the house to call the police?
I thought I heard a noise. I was frightened, so I went to Monica's. She just stood there like a cabbage. I had to shout at her before she'd let me in to use the phone.
This was Monica.
Yeah, that was Monica. I wanted her to come back to the house with me, but she wouldn't. I went back alone.
And you waited for your mother?
Yeah, I waited for my mother so that I could tell her what happened.
And then you all went into the kitchen?
Yep. Mum fell down on her knees, took his head in her arms and sort of cradled it. Then Carol Fox and I pulled her off and she just started to bang her head and face against the dresser.
Did you notice the money and the camera on the dresser?
I might have noticed it when I first went in, but it weren't there when I got back.
Miss Haddon, I believe that you know who killed your stepfather.
I don't know what you mean.
Now, that is unworthy of your intelligence. I believe you know more than you're telling me. I'll come back another day and continue the conversation, if I may.
Suit yourself. You must feel like a Rottweiler in a rabbit hutch in here.
Yeah, you may be right. My bite is worse than my bark.
Woof, woof.
Can you give me a precise date, sir?
What way, sir?
Address, please.
Anything on those cards, Jim?
No, not yet, sir.
Well, keep trying.
I've given it priority, sir.
Now, I want this to look really good, because this is going to be brilliant. When you got it? Yes? Oh, well, not there, will you? Because we're short. Now, come along, put this on. That's right. Oh, over there, the cards. That's right. There. Now, this is meant to be Mrs. Watkins' store. I don't know where is Mrs. Watkins?
No one wants lemon curd anymore. Oh, you do surprise me. I wonder why I hadn't seen it about recently. Now,
There we are. Jane, something to decorate your store. I thought that would look rather nice. Right. Put that there. That's right. Well done, Nicky. Yes, of course. Big one. Oh, Mark, dear, would you come and help here? Help Nicky. That's right. That's right. Now, how are we doing here?
Fine.
All right? A moment of your precious time, Dora, when you have a minute.
I'll be with you in a tick, Daisy.
Right. Okay, can you manage that? Right. Good, that's number 2. That's absolutely...
I'm surprised your husband hasn't asked to see me yet. I would have thought I was worth an interview at least.
I've no doubt he has his reasons.
Been a good man to you, has he?
Beg your pardon?
Well, some are passable, I dare say.
I was was very sorry to hear about your son. I always thought he was so charming and good-looking.
Handsome is as handsome does, I suppose. When mine went, I took a bottle of gin and danced on the bugger's grave.
Take no notice, Dora. She only does it to shock.
Well, had a successful day, then. Oh, what was it you wanted, Daisy?
Oh, I've got
Instant Centre, can I help you? I'll get you one later. The colour of the car is red. Do you know the registration?
If you don't mind if I just dot the I's and cross the T's. Like to get things straight, sir. Now then, her grandmother told Miss Hedden that her mother wanted to see her about a sweater she's knitting. And you dropped her off at her mother's at about 6:30 and went for a drink with the boys at the Red Rose.
Come back to collect her, and the rest is history.
Oh, and I see you're a welder, are you, sir?
I don't see what that's got to do with the price of tea.
I just thought I'd check your times with the employer, sir.
Well, that won't be easy for you. I've been unemployed for months.
And you bought 3 pallets of strawberries, yes, sir. Well, what time was this? All right, so can we go back to the...
Pretty bright news, I'm afraid, sir.
Oh?
The Suzuki Jeep and the Saab were stolen. And they were reported as stolen by the owners, and that was 2 hours before the raid.
Right. No fingerprints at the scene of the crime, of course.
You should be so lucky, sir.
Let me know when you find the car.
Sir?
Hello, Reg. What are you doing here at this time of day?
Well, I thought I might be offered a cup of tea.
Well, you're in luck. The kettle has just boiled.
What do you know about the Peter Lees?
The Peter Lees. Second generation off the road. See a piece of green, stop here overnight. Old man Peter Lee married Eva. Now, her father owned the Feverels, which she inherited, and from her it'll go to the boys. I think Joe does rather better with his plant hire than poor Tom did with his vegetables.
Do you happen to know how much they have in their bank accounts?
Are you coming in for your cup of tea, or shall I just throw it at you through the window?
I'm going down the pub later, Eileen. Do you fancy coming?
Yeah. I'd love that.
Well, you was especially nice to me this afternoon, kid. You deserve a bit of a break.
Absolute silence from Heather Peter Lee. Broadly speaking, I think the day of the murder went something like this. On Thursday the 10th, she opened the shop at 9 o'clock, as usual. They were selling their own product. She was helped by Monica Peter Lee, her sister-in-law, again as usual. At lunchtime, Tom Peter Lee brought the vegetables that he'd been picking and passed the time of day with a customer.
The customer rang. Willoughby took the call.
Oh, what did he say?
Wanted us to know he'd bought 3 punnets of strawberries.
Well, that was good of him.
Where are they?
But they usually shut the shop at 5. Tom must have brought the day's takings into the house. According to Joe, he was always very careless with money. They must have put them on top of the kitchen dresser.
Why?
Because Arlene saw them on top of the kitchen dresser when she found the body.
But they were gone when she came back.
Yes. Now we're on surer ground. Tom went over to see Carol Fox in her caravan to talk to her about the rent.
He thought she was paying too little. She agreed with him. All very amicably settled.
What are you implying, mate?
Well, I've never known a tenant ask the landlords to raise the rent before. Have you?
No, it does seem a bit odd. But it must have been amicable, because at 6:20, Carol went over and fetched Heather, and they took the dog for a walk. And Tom must have brought in the wood for the wood burner.
Why didn't Carol wear her own coat when they went for a walk? She says Heather persuaded her to put on one of hers, but it's only a step back to her caravan.
Well, because not everybody is as methodical or as prepared as you are, Mike.
Oh, I knew you wouldn't be able to resist it. Every damn phone in the town was vandalized.
Found the usual, John.
Right. That's unusual for you to be in at this time.
Well, I've got a bit of a difficult one, so I thought I'd come in early and give you plenty of time.
Well, if it's a difficult one for you, I don't suppose it'll take me any time at all. What is it?
On the 10th, was Gary Wyatt here around about 6 o'clock, 7?
10th? That was red letter night, wasn't it? Tom Peterlee got clobbered and the shopping precinct was done. I was quiet that night. No, I can't say he was in, not for sure.
When the caravan was searched, it was remarked that there was no raincoat in their possessions.
Tom Peterlee wasn't killed for £360.
No, but various people would like us to believe that he was. I don't know why he was killed. Apparently a paragon of virtue, an ideal husband, good, kind, undeniably handsome. Why, even handsome on the slab. So why do we think it wasn't a random killing? Ali got here early at 10 to 7 because Gary wanted to go and have a drink with the lads.
You don't want to take much notice of anything the Peterlee girl says.
Her name was Hedden. It was her father's name. Heather was Mrs. Hedden before she remarried. Oh, and incidentally, she was a widow.
What did her first husband die of?
Oh, for God's sake, Mike. I don't know. Some bone disease. Back to Arlene Hedden. She's a very intelligent girl, you know.
No, I don't know. You must be joking. Intelligent girls don't live on benefit in caravans with unemployed welders, unemployed married welders. Intelligent girls do well at school, go on to further education, get suitable, well-paid jobs, and buy themselves homes on mortgages.
What?
Anonymous letters are filth. They have the most insidious way of penetrating the subconscious. And then it just picks at you.
What does?
It's filth in anonymous letters.
What was in it?
Wouldn't repeat it to you.
Why? Was it about me?
No, it was not about you. But now it's going to niggle at you. You're going to wonder what was in it, what it was about.
That's obviously upset you. Don't you think you better tell me what was in it?
It's too disgusting to contemplate. Just builds up and builds up. She's gone away for a couple of days. It's probably perfectly innocent, but why didn't she... Did she tell you?
The letter said that Pat was having an affair with a married man, didn't it?
How did you know?
Because she told me when she was home last holidays.
I don't believe it. My daughter does not behave like that. Why didn't somebody tell me?
Because somebody felt that it would be better to let it run its natural course and fade away and die.
But it didn't, did it?
Well, no, it didn't.
It could have been discussed in a grown-up, rational manner. She can't do this to me. She just can't do it to me.
Can you tell me what happened when your mother and Carol came in from their walk?
I met Mother at the door and told her that Tom was dead. She went into the kitchen and knelt down beside him. She sort of cradled his head in her arms. Carol and I had to pull her off him. She was so upset, she started to bang her head against the dresser.
Against the dresser?
Yup. Then your lot arrived.
As a matter of interest, how did you know that your mother had gone out with the dog?
The dog wasn't there and she wasn't there.
Touche. You said you were afraid to use the phone in the house because your stepfather's killer might still be there. Did you ever consider that your mother might be lying dead in some other part of the house and that Carol might have taken the dog for a walk on her own?
I didn't know Carol very well.
Well, she was your mother's closest friend. I mean, you might say that your mother gave her sanctuary when she left her husband. I mean, that is the action of a close friend, isn't it?
I haven't lived at home since I was 17. I don't know all the friends my mother's got.
Yeah, you waited for them both to come back.
I waited for my mother.
We just sat down and talked about it, Mr. Burden, and decided that a trial separation might be the answer for the marriage. Well, we thought about 6 months, didn't we, darling? The separation wasn't a success. It was a source of misery. I'm sure Carol would concur with that. Well, it's obvious she does, because we're back together. And this time for good. Hey, sweetheart?
Could you just take me over the events of, the 10th, Mrs. Fox?
Well, I went over and collected Heather at about 6:20.
Did you notice if there was a basket of logs by the door at that time?
As a matter of fact, I did. I went over to that corner of the kitchen to get a coat off the hook.
Because you didn't have one of your own?
That's right.
Did you see any money on the counter or the dresser?
No, I didn't. When I went in, Tom was drying the dishes. He told Heather that he'd finished the clearing up and she was to go out for a walk with me. I should be so lucky.
Did you like Tom Peterlee, Mrs. Fox?
He was very pleasant. I didn't see much of him.
All right, Ted.
Oh, mate.
Lab report's in.
Oh, yeah?
The remains of an animal bone in the ashes.
So?
Well, from the statement, the bones went to the dog, everything else went on the compost.
Yeah, so?
Well, what I'm saying is, how did it get there?
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah.
Sometimes, Ted.
What do you and that Wexford talk about when he comes here?
It's always the same questions. He gets on my nerves, but I don't let him see that. So you went into the kitchen and what did your mother do? He thinks I know more than I'm telling.
And do you?
Of course I do. Not.
too young for you.
Too young for what?
Oh, Walker, then. That's a nice question to ask a senior citizen. Mind I don't cast a spell on you. Why don't you leave her alone, poor lamb?
Because she's going to tell me who killed your son, Tom.
Oh, get away. She don't know. Maybe I did. I all but killed his dad once. I said to him, "You've knocked me about once too often, Arthur Peterlee." I picked up the kitchen knife and I came at him with it. Oh, I don't say never touch me again. Human nature ain't made like that. But he dropped dead with his heart. Soon after, poor old sod. I was so glad to see the back of him, I danced on his grave. Oh, I know people say that. It's just a manner of speaking, but me, I really did it. I went to the cemetery with half a bottle of gin, and I danced on the old bugger's grave.
Well, let's pursue the possibilities a bit further then, shall we? On the night of your son's death, there's a gap of about, just over an hour between the time you left here and the time that you arrived at the Conservative Association party. Now, would you mind telling me where you were?
You'd be surprised. Oh, yes, you would. But you can set your mind at rest, because I don't think there's any reason for you to know.
Where did you see it, Arthur? You know the registration number?
Mrs. Peterlee? It's the police. Inspector Wexford. Mrs. Peterlee. A peace above all earthly dignities. A still and quiet conscience. Do you have that, Mrs. Peterlee? Mrs. Peterlee, you can talk to your customers. You can talk to your sister-in-law. You can talk to your daughter. And you can talk to your friend Carol. Apparently, the only people that you can't talk to is the police. Now, we are trying to help you. We are trying to find out who killed your husband. I assure you that we are. Now, you may think that it's taking a lot of time. But if you would only cooperate and give us your version of what happened on Thursday, we might come to a conclusion much quicker. The sooner we do that, the sooner you'll be rid of us.
It's all right, keep the change.
The individual wants normality, usually in groups, however small. If that normality is suddenly and violently removed, the mind of the individual has to make an adjustment. Can it do it? In the case of Heather Peterlee, the answer is no. But physically, she's strong and healthy.
When you say, usually in groups, however small, what do you mean?
Well, nobody is so individual that he or she doesn't have to relate to some group or another. The family and childhood, then school, work, leisure, and so on. The rebel works to persuade others to join his group and his way of thinking.
So otherwise, Heather Peterlee is strong and healthy.
No, certainly she's as strong and healthy as me. You could be that strong and healthy if you just lost a little weight.
Hold the line, please.
There's the bare bones of it. If you don't mind the bun, sir.
I mind it very much, but it's very bad.
No. Yes. Form 5B. Right.
And I mean bone in the ashes, eh?
The dog had all the bones. They never threw them on the fire.
We've only got Carol Fox's word for that.
Mrs. Peterlee hasn't spoken then yet, sir.
Not a word. Done with grief. Ah, well, blessed is the man who expecteth nothing, for he shall not be disappointed. I can wait. She'll talk. Any news on the ram raid cars?
Oh, no, not yet, sir. But these people set up a pattern. They'll come tomorrow. Sure as eggs is eggs. By the way, sir, Mr. Burden gave me this note for you.
Oh, thank you.
Could I suggest that you go home, sir? It's getting very late.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I'm sorry to have kept you. No, off you go. No, I have a little thinking to do. I'll look up.
That's not my point, sir. What I meant was... Good night, sir.
Tickets, please. Thank you. Tickets, please.
Hello, darling, it's me. Yeah, I missed the 5:30. 6:15 at the moment. Should be home about 7:30. Okay.
Hello?
Oh, hello, Jenny. Mike there, or has he gone already?
Well, he can't have gone. He hasn't been home yet. Why, did you send him somewhere?
No, it's just that he left me a note saying he was taking a couple of days of the leave owing to him and he'd gone to see Pat.
Oh, no. I was afraid he'd do something like that. He must have left straight from the office. Was it something important, Reg?
No. No, it'll keep till he comes back.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Jenny.
Have you been talking to? The phone's been engaged for ages.
I've been talking to Reg. Mikey tells me you're on your way to see Pat.
If I told you before, you'd have persuaded me not to go.
Well, if you could have been that easily persuaded, it would have been the right thing to do, wouldn't it?
No. I have to know the truth, Jenny.
Mike, be careful.
I ought to go now. I'll call you later.
industrial estate.
So what do you want me to do about it? Ooh, don't answer that. We're getting the tea, folks. Come on, let's go. Just I'll look for that to be one of them. I've always hated that phrase. Better late than never.
Jenny, have you got this man's address or telephone number?
Mike, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Darling, what are you doing?
Trying to get at the truth. Is that so reprehensible? Is that so odd? I'm her father.
Mike, just get a hotel room. Nothing more you can do tonight.
But you must have his name, Jenny. Don't you even know his name?
No. Pat didn't tell me and I didn't ask. But, Mike, I've got an early start in the morning. I must get some sleep. So must you. Go to bed, sleep on in. Good night, darling.
Good morning, Mr. Peter Lee. Can I give you a hand? Of course, your husband always used to help you with the dishes, didn't he? He put the money on the shelf and then the camera on top of it. The camera was to stop the money blowing away when he brought the logs in. Why didn't you put it in the safe?
Dad! What are you doing here? What's wrong, Dad?
Nothing that isn't of your own making. Been away for a couple of days, have you?
I think we'd better go inside.
I'll take your bag.
It's okay, Dad. I can manage. Coffee? Hiya.
I just want you to tell me it isn't true.
I'm going to have a cup of coffee, Dad, and I'm going to make you one. Because if you need it. Oh, everyone, this is Olivier.
Hello.
Habib. Walid, Jethro and Veronique. This is my father.
How is he doing?
Excusez-moi.
I've tried to phone you for the last 36 hours. There was no answer.
No, there wouldn't be. I wasn't here.
I don't want any clever remarks. I don't want any evasions. I just want to hear you say that it's true.
Look, Dad.
I called early because I didn't want to interrupt you in shop opening. Oh, I'm glad to see you're eating. You know, some people get silly and they don't eat. Take the film with me.
Suit yourself.
Keen photographer, was he?
You know perfectly well what I'm talking about. You've been having a hole-in-the-corner liaison with a married man. What, can you deny it?
A hole-in-the-corner liaison? No, I don't think that's what I've been doing.
Oh, don't add insult to injury by lying to me. You told Jenny!
And Jenny told you?
Of course she didn't. I got a letter.
You went to the Feverels because you had to collect a jumper that your mother knitted.
That's correct.
And you went early because Gary Wyatt wanted to go and have a drink with his friends.
I went to meet them. I don't know if he had a drink with him. He was driving.
You know, I only have your word and his that he dropped you here and went straight away.
That's right.
You were afraid to use the phone in the house in case your stepfather's killer was still there.
Tom. I called him Tom. Yeah, I was afraid.
Did you ever consider that your mother might be lying dead in another part of the house?
No, I was finding it quite difficult enough to cope with one murder.
Miss Haddon, why didn't you go on to further education?
My dad died and she married Tom.
I don't say we're scraping or doing without to send you to dental college. But we are making economies. As you know, I was never convinced that dentistry was the right career for a girl. I mean, it's a very long training, and the sooner you finish, then you'll be wanting to settle down and have a family.
It doesn't really work like that anymore, Dad.
Apparently not. Apparently, all the standards and values your mother and I tried to instill into you have gone for nothing. What's his name? What were you thinking of, Pat? How dare you do this to me? I must have this man's name.
Dad, you're very tired. There really isn't any point talking about this now.
No, you can't get out of it like that. I exist. I'm your father. I've lavished care and attention on you and your
Dad,
brother.
don't say any more. Or I might bring up the evenings we waited for you after Mother died. And you didn't show. Or the evenings when you were too busy.
That is desperately unfair.
Do you think what you're doing to me is fair?
You've got a good brain, Miss Haddon.
And a better figure.
And a better memory than you let on. Was it the wall or was it the dresser?
It was the dresser.
And you did notice the camera on it, didn't you?
I can't say if I did or not.
Now, you're playing semantics with me.
Or I could be dead stupid.
Or dead clever.
Or dead clever.
I wonder just how clever you are being.
I waited for my mother to come home. I wanted to tell her what had happened.
Yeah, I gotcha. Right, you stay with the vehicle and I'll get people out to you as soon as I can, right? They found the Mercedes estate.
Oh, great.
Do you know when Burden's getting back?
Search me. The old man said he's going off for a couple of days.
What, on the case, is he?
It wasn't what you think. We didn't mean it to happen. We liked each other and laughed a lot. It was a comfort to laugh, feel secure. I'd never been away from home before. I was lonely. I knew it was wrong. We knew it was wrong. And it's over, Dad. It was over almost before it had started. It's over. It hurts.
Sorry. Here. You all right? I'm sorry to have made it so much worse for you. At least you can still cry on my shoulder.
Last time was when Mum died.
Wyatt's got a wife and 3 kids in Sewingbury, sir. He's not had a regular job in 6 months. You'd think a welder would be able to pick up some casual labour, wouldn't you, sir?
The wife and 3 kids. How do they get on for money?
Well, she's on social security, or whatever they call it nowadays. But I'll tell you something for note, sir. There's no shortage of cash in that house.
Oh, can you be more specific?
In what way, sir?
Well, is it recent money?
Well, there's a new microwave and brand new toys for the kids.
£360 worth?
Oh, yes, sir. All of that.
I'll tell Jenny you're all right.
Jenny knows. She knew it would finish. All she had to do was wait.
Feminine intuition.
No, just being practical about it.
I made myself look pretty silly, haven't I?
24 hours ago, you'd have said, I've been made to look pretty silly, haven't I?
It's nice to know I'm not too old to change.
I love you, Dad. You mustn't change too much. Or I shan't know how to deal with you.
No. Keep in touch.
Why can't you get your boyfriend to call at a more convenient time?
Adds to the excitement, doesn't it?
She's waiting for you.
It's you I want to see first, Gary.
Hey.
You ready to tell me what you were doing between 6:45 and 7:30 on the night that Tom Peter Lee was killed?
I was in the Red Rose.
Nobody remembers seeing you.
That's their problem.
You visited your wife and kids lately?
No, I haven't. That's none of your business if I had.
She's got a lot of new equipment, new toys for the kids. I thought you might have come into some money.
That's a laugh.
You got a grudge against Tom Peter Lee?
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't give you the caravan the cow Foxy's living in. Didn't approve of you because you left your wife and children.
That's the pot calling the kettle black.
What does that mean?
Nothing. It means nothing. Now, if you'll excuse me.
I will for the time being. What did you mean by the pot calling the kettle black?
Well, it's a sort of saying, isn't it? Like, if the cap fits, wear it.
You will tell me what you know in the end, Miss Hannon. I know you will.
penny for them.
And how much they're worth?
Ooh. Serious. Iced coffee.
She knows more than she's telling. I know she knows the answer.
The Hedden girl.
Yes. I'm not obsessed with it, Dora.
With what, Reg?
The thought that she has the answer.
Well, only you can make up your mind about that. The trouble is, Reg, that you always get so interested in people. Is she an interesting girl, Reg?
Well, she should have gone on higher education. You see, the society that we live in... Mr. Hughes, I believe that you've got some information.
Yes. Yes, that is so. How useful it will be, of course, I can't judge.
Well, do sit down.
Well, if she'd been killed, I'd have come to you at once. But I believe the police can't or don't interfere with domestic cases.
Who'd been killed, sir?
Mrs. Peterlee, of course. Tom Peterlee used to knock her about something chronic. I've seen her with a black eye and bruised cheek on more than one occasion, and once with a bandaged wrist. Oh, yes. Beat her about something chronic.
Morning, Mr. Wyatt. You've just off to work?
You're early. Just waiting for me to leave, was ya? You're wasting your time in here, mate. You're not going to get anywhere with her. But I'm not jealous, you see, because I'm the best man for her.
Just off to work, are you?
What bloody work? You tell me where I can find it.
The job centre. You're not even registered. They've never even heard of you.
Ah, it's you.
I was just asking Mr. Wyatt if he was off to work. But the notion seems foreign to both of you. Oh, by the way, Mr. Wyatt, where'd you get the money to buy your children new toys?
You think I did the old get in for 360 quid? Ain't you got anything else to do?
Oh, yes, I have, Mr. Wyatt. Yes, I have. May I come in, Miss Hedden? Did you see your stepfather that day?
I always called him Tom.
She cradled his head in her hands, did she?
Correct.
And when you picked her up off the floor, she broke away and she banged her head against the dresser.
Yep.
And did she bang her head against the dresser in June, Miss Hedden? And did she bang her head against the dresser in September? And what about her bandaged wrist?
She must have hurt it.
To be continued in our next, Miss Hedden. Unless, of course, you got yourself a job by then.
Oh, my Gary doesn't want me to work. He likes to know where I am. Just in case, you know.
While I'm prepared to bend over backwards to help the police, I do have my work to do, which I can't do without my car.
It was a Thursday. I know it wasn't a Thursday.
Undeniably animals. Yes. Well, the bowls for the dog and the veg on the compost. Thrifty.
It was in September when the wrist was bandaged.
As soon as forensic have checked the vehicle, you can have it back.
I want to know where.
Yes, that's exactly right, John. Oh, well, I'd be very grateful.
Forensic will release the car immediately, Sarge.
Thank you, John.
Oh, sir, forensics say that they have finished.
It was August.
Yeah.
That was a hot day. That was Tuesday.
Maynard.
Oh, there's been developments. Like his father before him, Tom Peterlee beat his wife. Now, we're not going to get Heather to open up on that one. But Monica might be persuaded.
How did it come out?
Oh, Mr. Hughes dropped in here yesterday evening and told us about it. Martin's checking out all the regular federal customers now. Oh, let me bring you up to date. Arlene's hiding something. She knows the answer, but she's giving nothing. Gary's up to something. He's got enough money for 2 families without working. He's up to something, and it's not all Social Security. If I give him enough rope, he'll hang himself. Oh, do you mind talking to Monica for me?
No, of course not. I'll go and see her at once.
Oh, by the way, WDC Maynard has some news on the Mercedes for you.
Right.
I don't know why you can't leave folk alone. I've told you all I can tell you.
We've had some new information, Mrs. Peterlee. It's of a rather disturbing nature, and we felt that you could possibly throw some light on it.
I don't see how I can throw any light on it.
Perhaps when I've told you what it is. We have good reason to believe that on occasion, Mr. Peterlee beat his wife.
You have no business bursting in here asking questions like that, do you mean? You've no call to do it.
Might take it that he did.
I don't want to talk about it. Do you hear me? I don't want to talk about that. You can't make me. I don't want to know.
Intimidation is what it is. What right you got to come into my home, interrogate my wife? That's how you people get false statements, isn't it? Catch an innocent person in their house, put words in their mouth.
I assure you this is not an interrogation. Mrs. Peterlee is under no suspicion, and nor, sir, are you.
What's she doing here, then?
So that your wife will feel reassured and secure. Mr. Peterlee, we are trying to find your brother's killer. And I must tell you that the law of the land permits me to question any person who I think can help my investigations.
Very mind a bloody book. Very mind a book. You can't just stalk into a person's house, intimidate his wife, and then tell me the law of the land give you the right to do so.
Would you mind answering the question for me then, Mr. Peterlee?
I've told you. My brother was the gentlest man you could ever wish to meet. He did everything for Heather. And the Sobo. Oh, yes, he did. He wouldn't harm a fly. Oh. That answers your question. Get out of my house. I think the law of the land gives me that right. It's my property. Get off it!
Well, thank you both for your help.
Starsky. Hello, Mr. Wexford.
I hear you've been down to the job centre, Mr. Wyatt.
I think our police are wonderful, Mr. Wexford.
Nice one, Gary.
Where'd you say this was? Yeah. Right, I'm very grateful to you, sir. Yes, thank you. Well, I'll send somebody round there straight away.
Thank you for passing that information on to the inspector.
Yeah, I think this should interest you. It's all right. All that doing her own thing. Go on, then.
Thanks, Sarge.
Right, Betty. Hey, they look fresh. Save me some of them. Oh, yeah.
You all right for firewood? I'll bring some fresh veg in the morning. You better put that in the safe, Heather.
I will. Thanks, Joe. What are you thinking?
Nothing. See ya.
What would you do?
I wouldn't have got myself into that position in the first place.
I used to think like that. I used to think everything was cut and dried.
And fit to use.
What?
Just finishing the quote. Pat's going to be fine, you know.
I know.
And so are you.
One of ours.
Oh, yeah?
Let's see how she handles this.
You were going to tell him, weren't you?
Joe, please don't.
You were going to tell him about our little fun and games.
I wasn't. I swear to God.
You like our little fun and games? Our mouse in the corner games.
Oh, God, Joe, I can't stand it. I can't take any more.
I never bruise you, though.
I never black your eye! You'd always hold your head up.
But you gotta learn.
stories about the family, must you?
No, Joe.
They always give you a sporting chance. I always turn the light out.
Don't put the light out, Joe. Please, don't put the light out.
How did you know that your mother had taken the dog for a walk?
Because she wasn't there and the dog wasn't there.
How did you know that Carol Fox hadn't taken the dog for a walk?
I don't know Carol Fox.
I thought she was your mother's best friend.
I haven't lived at home for years.
Did you see your stepfather that day?
I called him Tom.
I'm told they were a happy couple.
I haven't lived at home for years.
When she argued with him, did he react by hitting her? Was that his way? Did she protest about his raising the rent for her friend Carol Fox? Is that why he did it?
She banged her head against the dresser.
He hit her! She argued with him about the rent. She turned on him, and he hit her.
Carol was his girlfriend, you ninny.
What do you mean by that?
What everyone means. His girlfriend. His lover.
He never laid a finger on me.
We have information from your customers that you were often seen badly bruised in the last years.
Gossip. You don't want to believe everything you hear. I sometimes get a bit of an infection. Makes me fall over.
Did you go and see the doctor?
No, I did not.
You didn't ask Carol Fox to come and live in that caravan, did you?
A friend of Tom's told him she needed somewhere to live when she left her husband.
And you didn't object?
Why should I object?
They were lovers.
First I've heard of it.
There's not much point in denying it, is there?
I'm surprised you didn't give us that information, Mr. Fox.
Oh, he's ashamed. Thinks it's a reflection on his manhood or whatever. I told him. They're bound to find out. You can't keep a thing like this dark. So why bother?
I take it then that his visit that evening had nothing to do with raising the rent.
There's nothing I can add to this discussion, so if you'll excuse me, I'll go and put the kettle on.
Funny man. He can't bear to hear about it, but he never stops asking me to tell him the details.
Bit of luck, really, sir. I just popped into the Red Rose and bumped into an old friend of mine. It seems he's been left out of his share of the first grand rent.
Did he say why?
As far as I can make out, he'd been calling on the wife of one of the other parties. And umbrage had been taken. I think, actually, he'd been given a good wallop. Anyway, he was ready to talk. He took me out, showed me the hidey hole. And then DC Maynard came in.
I was able to get some shots of the stolen goods, sir.
Very exemplary work, if I may say so.
How did you get these?
With a ladder.
Very good. Well done.
Dear Mrs. Fox, I find it very difficult to believe in this friendship between you and Mrs. Peterlee. Taking the dog for a walk, all chummy together. I can't believe she didn't know.
Oh, of course she knew. She hated me. I can't say I was too keen on her.
Oh, so, you weren't in the habit of going for a walk together?
Look, Tom came over. We had a drink. I told him countless times if he wouldn't leave Heather, I'd leave him. The situation came to a head, and I just told him I was leaving. I walked over to the house to ask Heather to go for a walk with me. I wanted to tell her it was all over between me and Tom.
And she suggested that you borrowed her coat.
Well, she could see I was distraught.
Was Tom Peterlee in the kitchen at the time?
No, I don't know where he was. I didn't want to see him.
No, well, I could see that you wouldn't. Oh, did you see the money on the shelf and the camera on top of it?
It's no good me saying I did or I didn't. Well, I just can't remember.
Yes, can I speak to Sergeant Martin, please? Quickly. Come on. Come on, lads, you don't understand. Give us a break.
I want to make a call.
A friend of yours just called.
Wonderful. What did he say?
Oh, he just screamed down the phone, tell him tonight, and the phone went dead.
Tell him tonight?
Yeah.
Did he say where?
No.
It's a fat lot of good.
Tell you the truth, Mr. Wexford. It was a physical thing with him. His legs, the way he walked. I didn't want to give him up. But where was the future? And this is the funny part about it. She was comforting me. Of course, the rest is history.
When you picked her up and she broke away from Arlene, where did she bang her head?
On the draining board.
Always the same questions.
Yeah. Ah, it's a bit of fun. I think I learn as much as he does.
What's he learnt?
Bits here and there. Yeah, I told him Tom and Carol Fox were lovers.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go down?
He asked me what I meant, the ninny.
What have you learnt?
I could do his job. I thought of going in the police once.
It's a good job you didn't. What's this?
I told you. I got a lot to think about.
You don't have anything to think about except me.
I thought you were in a hurry to go out.
Well, that's it. You don't have to worry, Arlene. I'm only going down the pub with the boys. Or are you waiting for your boyfriend?
No.
You want to be very careful what you tell them. Do you understand me?
I think I might just tell him what he needs to know.
About your mum and Tom?
Could be.
Just remember where you belong.
Go and play with the boys, Gary.
I can't see Tom's girlfriend alibiing for the wife that she wants to get rid of.
Well, no. Especially if the wife's just killed her lover. Makes no sense at all. Looks like we begin again.
Is there anybody else, except Heather, that has a motive?
Nothing in it for Joe, Peter Lee. I think Monica just wants a quiet life. What about your idea of old Mrs. Peter Lee?
Oh, she's capable of it. But I don't think she's strong enough. There's nothing in it for Gary or Arlene. Although Arlene knows something she's not telling.
We're back to the unsatisfactory theory of a murderer going about the countryside, murdering people for 360 quid.
You all set for the next family?
Plans are made. Everything's in place. All I need now is the vital information where. I know when. If Martin's man is right.
Well, I'll leave it to you. The waiting's the worst. You got your phone?
One last word, everybody, before we go. Radio silence once we get in the area. So everyone acting on their own initiative. You know the place, and you know your routes. And don't forget, they could be dangerous. Now, any more questions?
No, sir.
All right, let's go then.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you... Gotcha! Okay. Keep on my way. Come on in.
Get up!
Better than working, is it?
You did pretty well there.
It's nice. Turn around now. Let me see your back. And just pull this down. See more of your back. A lovely back.
I can't stay with you if you don't leave her.
I got uses for her. I don't have for you. That's it. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Vegetables on the compost and bones to the dog. Bones to the dog. You should have sent me these before, Arlene. Detective Chief Inspector Wexford.
Rich, I thought you'd like to know. We've got them.
Oh, good. Yeah, very good. Well done.
One of the ringleaders is your friend Gary Wyatt.
Oh, good. Jolly good. Yeah. Oh, Mike, get over to Heather Peter Lee's house as soon as you can, will you?
Statements to be taken here.
Yeah, of course there are. Very good. Well, thanks, Mike. I'll see you there as soon as possible.
I can't remember. I can't remember nothing.
He was hitting you.
He never hit me. Never.
I've seen the pictures that he took of Carol. Why are you protecting her?
Because I don't hate her as much as I hated him. I hated him! I hated him!
Cover her head and straight inside.
Mrs. Fox, please. Please, Inspector. Why won't you talk to us? Mrs. Fox.
A few words for the record, sir.
Mrs. Fox.
Inspector Bergen.
Mrs. Fox. Carol.
Thank you for sending me those photographs. You know, you could start again while Gary's away. Your mother told me you want to be a police officer. I'm sorry. Well, if you ever change your mind.
What are you looking so pensive about? Arlene Hedden?
No, I was just thinking. Men have their clubs, their lodges, their organisations, keeping them towing the party line. There's a pull in the great sisterhood of women, which, well, we just can't fathom.
Excuse me, you're blocking the pavement.